You are down with the crown. Welcome to the House of the Dragon live review show presented by the Houston Film Production Club. I'm your host, Will Sanders, and joining me is the lovely
Jennifer Lee.
Jennifer Lee. Hello, hello, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hi.
And
Isaiah Liao, aka Mysterion.
Isaiah Liao, aka Mysterion. And
Oh, by the way, I'm Isaiah Liao, aka Mysterion.
Mysterion, and that's your dragon name from last week. Throughout space and time in perpetuity, is that not correct?
That is very much correct.
Yeah, excellent. And Jennifer, do you have a dragon name?
I do not have a dragon name, but you feel more than welcome to come up with one for me, and I'll decide if I like it or not.
Okay, great. So, friends in the chat, we need to give Jennifer a dragon name tonight. My dragon name is Gugu, so I'm taken care of. And we had quite an episode tonight, did we not?
Yes.
Lot to talk about.
Exactly. I'm going to use my right hand for this. Yeah, a lot to talk about. But first, why don't we just kind of get into last week's episode? What did happen last
Are we
week's?
talking about all of it or the end of it?
No, just well, you can talk about the end of last week's episode is cool, but any points that you want to recap?
Well, last week's episode kind of had a lot to. Both last week and this week were very set up kind of episodes. This one's setting
It's
up.
true.
Or we'll talk about how this one's set up later. But last week was kind of setting up to give Rhaenyra a reason to be like, hey, I have to attack now. Because obviously
Yeah.
the death of Jaehaerys gave Aegon the bloodlust to get in
The
there.
bloodlust, the need for revenge.
Yes.
Yeah.
And let's not forget about Rhaenyra last week with her and Daemon finally separating with one another for Daemon to go on his own adventure. It set up a pretty risky adventure for him for this week's episode, I thought.
Yeah, right. He went straight over to Harrenhal. That was a really cool scene. I loved that whole sequence. We also saw the sort of fratricide, dual karmic strike fratricide last week with Eric and Arik.
Yeah.
Or is it Arik and Eric? Arik.
Their parents probably
Eric.
should have gave them a little bit of different names. That was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were you thinking, George R. R. Martin? It's the same.
Just because it looks different on the page.
Doesn't mean we can say it out loud.
Right.
Right.
Eric, Arik.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it made it easier for the parents to not have to distinguish.
Do you think that's what happened? That do you think the parents were just lazy like that? Like we don't want to.
Kids get in trouble. Eric! I didn't do it. He did. Well, you're both named Eric. Whichever.
I mean, they do look alike, so I feel like as kids, it's so much
That's-
easier to just label them like that. Eric, Arik, it's, so
Usually
careless
the
and
case
easy.
with identical twins is they look alike.
That's right, and it's that's the deal with identical twins. Maybe we'll get some more identical twins in this season, but
Yeah. Well,
yeah, I
which
doubt it.
which one do you think is the one who did the seppuku? Yeah.
Oh well, that was Arik, I think, because
Are you sure?
Yeah, because he apologizes to the queen, and I think it was Arik that had gone for Rhaenyra. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, we can always have the people in the commenters say. I wasn't sure which one for sure. I'd have to really watch and then keep it. Where's the cup? Which one has the dot?
That's what. Oh, it is a bit of a shell game. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what was so great about that scene. What else happened last week?
Um.
We had Aemond in the brothel last week.
Yes, and we had him in the brothel again this week.
And we had him in the
He
brothel
really
again this week.
enjoys-
He's a really frequent customer.
Yeah.
Good for him. Not really.
Is he just kind of sad? Is that
I
the deal?
think Aemond is very. He puts on an air when he's in front of people, like he's confident
does
and stuff,
indeed,
but really
yeah.
he has absolutely no confidence, probably because he lost his eye to someone that he thought was lesser than him, which is why they were making fun of him to begin with. And then,
Right.
so that is kind of like a blow in the fact that how he screwed up and kind of starting the war on Rhaenyra's side with the death of Luke. So he has all these self-conscious issues and everything, and he has to put on an air in order to be himself, like the little infant that he probably feels like he is, the child inside. He goes to the brothel.
The boy within.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where he can be his true self.
I'm just taking a moment for him. I'm really feeling this one. I feel you.
I think it's also a case of him being a little, I don't want to say tied down, but there is, I think, when it comes to the mistress that he's with, there's got to be a little bit of a power play with her having some kind of influence, especially with the large age gap. I think that right there, you can
Right.
definitely see that there's a level of influence that she has on him. So not only is he going there for his own type of satisfaction so he can feel better about himself in a way, but also, just as a comfort, I think. So maybe it's gross, but it's true. Maybe he's there for comfort.
I mean, he may even have some mama issues, especially considering his mom
Oh.
is Allison.
Yeah, right.
I mean, he lost an eye and his mom did nothing to get any kind of vengeance for it.
She was like, well, you live and learn, kid.
Yeah. And she like pushed for Aegon to get the throne, so she's doing all this stuff for Aegon. All of her attention and energy
Yeah.
is going towards him, which is kind of leaving Aemon off to the side. So he probably has like a bit of a mother figure,
We can-
like mother issues.
We can talk about the relationship in this episode because there was a little bit of words that Allison had about, what did you say to Rhaenyra? Well, you know what Aemond is.
And don't
So-
forget the last relationship that Allison shared in the the last episode that we saw, her relationship with Sir Kristen Cole, and that's also covered within this episode, seeing more of their relationship, unfurl.
Yeah.
Yo, Crispy Cole showed up tonight. Showed up. I'm like, I think everyone hates him except maybe for me.
I mean, he still didn't get any kind of raise any bars. I mean, he saved Gwaine, which was Allison's brother, and that Hightower.
That's not
the Hightower
bars?
family is just kind of. Why'd you have to save him? You should have let him burn.
Oh, okay, all right.
I think that's bare minimum as a regular soldier. So he just did the
Right.
bare minimum. He was a good brother. Why not?
Yeah.
Y'all didn't think that? Well, we'll talk about it later. I also want to bring up our fantastic contest that we have still going. $15 entry for the live pool. Now, the live pool is your 6 picks for who is going to be left standing when the smoke clears at the end of episode 8. So who's left standing at the end? And we have one fantastic contestant, Stanley. We have our picks as well. So it is still a wide open field, and anybody could win the $50 gift card. And, of course, the thing you care about the most, which is, you want to show him there, Mysterion?
Oh yeah, this chalice right here. Drink the blood of your enemies if you'd like out of this when you win.
Right, and if you don't have enemies, there's still plenty of time to make some. It is 2024, and I'm assuming you're on the internet, so you can find enemies very, very easily, and impress them, rebuke them, awe them with this fantastic skull chalice, which we will get directly into your hands, along with the $50 gift card, $15 entry for the live pool, and pick your 6 people who are going to survive to the end of the season, and you will win. You
And
will win.
Where can they enter?
Yes, where can they enter? That would be at HoustonFilmProductionClub.com.
Okay.
And I'm getting a nod from my producer that is correct. Okay, great. Yeah, HoustonFilmProductionClub.com. Very good. Very good.
We need to make him wear glow sticks so we can see him better.
Oh, glow sticks. That would be such a good party. Maybe on the last episode. Maybe on the last episode. Okay, we have a question from the chat. Let's hear it.
This is from Chelsea.
Chelsea?
Is it from Chelsea?
Chelsea.
Is it from our long lost co-host? Who is it?
It says, hi, it's Chelsea. Oh, yeah, it is Chelsea.
It is okay.
It says, what do you think is going through Crispy Cole's head in this episode now that he's Hand of the King?
Oh yeah. Okay, so the question from our recent co-host, who regrettably for us down here in Texas is how noble of her taking care of her family up in New Jersey. So we commend her for that, but we do miss her. And she asks, what is going through Sir Kristen Cole, now Lord Kristen Cole's mind, now that he is the Hand of the King? And we saw that scene, kind of like, Walk the Line, right,
Yeah.
where Johnny Cash is about to go on stage.
Yeah.
That Sir Kristen, or Lord Kristen, is late for the meeting. So what's going through his head there?
I think sheer panic is kind of going through his head, alongside of a need to prove himself.
Okay, a little chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So sheer panic would be the biggest one. Like he needs to prove himself. He has the angst of, oh my gosh, Jaehaerys is dead because of me.
He is
Allison,
angsty.
he's very angsty. May as well call him Jon Snow.
Yeah.
Because he also knows nothing.
But also not noble in any meaningful
No,
way.
no,
just annoying angsty.
angsty and knows nothing.
Okay. So he's just dealing with that, is what you're saying. Being an ignorant,
Just sheer
panicky
Yeah.
guy.
Gotta
Okay.
prove himself, Chip.
What you think, Mr. Aaron? What's going through the Lord Hand's mind at this moment?
I think for him, he's definitely stuck between a rock and a hard place, not really wanting to be there with Alicent's brother, but also knowing he has to serve his kingdom. So yeah, I agree, definitely a little angsty. I think another thing that we would probably add to his character, just a little bit concerned, I would say, not only for himself, but concerned that, you know, he may end up being looked as lesser maybe by Alicent's brother and maybe even by the kingdom. So there's a large responsibility on his shoulder now that he's Lord. So there's definitely some nerves that he has, even though he can definitely show the best that he has in front of Alicent's brother, even by protecting him in this episode. I still think there's a lot for him to prove, and I don't think he really has it as much as he may compose himself to.
Okay, I have to agree with both of you. But what did y'all think about this sort of like, I don't know, low rent Kingsguard that they've brought on now? Like, who are these fools?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty funny when Aemon was like, well, y'all are supposed to be, what do you say?
Chaste?
Chaste or whatever.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
they were
yeah.
like, oh, yeah,
It's
right.
like,
Like,
of
oh,
course.
Yeah, of course we are.
Right. Okay, great question, Chelsea. Thank you so much. Oh, we have another question. Okay, what do we got? MMA fighter, longtime viewer. What do you got, sir?
I didn't understand what Cole was trying to accomplish tonight with this mission.
What Cole was trying to accomplish?
So the question is, he did not understand what Kristen Cole was trying to accomplish with the mission. Is that right? Okay. Well, I think in the episode, it's this idea that the first team to take the Riverlands is going to win the war, and that Harrenhal is the key to the Riverlands. So, kind of what you were saying with.
So he wanted to come and like basically under the reason why he didn't want any dragons and he didn't want like the king or anybody he didn't want anything that would draw attention, because he wanted to go take over the Blackwoods because they already have the Bracken. So he wanted to take over the Blackwoods.
That's
which
right.
would help secure the Riverlands for them to get Harrenhal, which is even though it's in disarray, it is, as Daemon said, the biggest place to be able to hold a garrison of soldiers. So whoever controls Riverlands will essentially be able to win the war. Now Daemon has Harrenhal and his dragon, and
Caraxes the Sky Noodle.
he really is. Whereas Cole is trying to basically beat the Blackwoods with like undercover, basically. But now that Bela has noticed them, they have to work a lot faster, which is why instead of going in daylight like they were, they have to go under the cover of trees and under the cover of night.
I think Jennifer, you have a photographic memory is what's going on here. Yeah, I think the episode did kind of leave some questions about what the strategic import of Harrenhal might have been. We've seen that a little bit in the show. Is that they try to they don't always make it clear what the strategic import of everything is. Okay, so hopefully that was informative. Good question, MMA fighter. We have another question. Okay, these are coming off like hotcakes. What do we got?
This is from Lex L.
Okay, Lex L has a question.
How do y'all feel about Rhaena getting sent to Pentos?
How do we feel about Rhaena getting sent to Pentos? You have a feeling about this?
Honestly, I don't really have too much of a feeling other than, good for her getting out of, where she was before. Like,
But she doesn't want to be. She wants to be in the fight.
I was gonna say, I think she's carrying the dragons that Daenerys will inherit.
That did seem to be suggested a little tiny bit.
The dragon eggs.
that is true. I don't know.
So-
It's complicated because it is an honor to be in that position, but at the same time, there is a lot of conflict as to why she does and doesn't want to be there. It's something that I think she may need to, sort out if she just doesn't accept that position. Yeah,
Well,
I think
she
that-
Totally.
Yeah, because she's in the position where she really wants to prove herself, to prove that she's not just helpless and somebody that needs to be pushed out of danger. But at the same time, the role that they gave her is such a monumental role because, as Rhaenyra said, if things don't go well, then she just basically gave Rhaena their future.
Right.
Now, Rhaena can either understand the magnitude of the role that she was given.
But she's young and she's got
Or-
that hot dragon
Yeah.
blood.
Or she can be like, no, I need to prove myself in the way that she believes is proving herself.
There's a lot of young
And-
people with chips on their
There
shoulders.
really is.
All right. Okay.
We have a comment, guys.
Okay. Comment.
The comment is from Sue Jin.
Sujin has a comment.
He says, me when I'm a frat bro and I join the King's Guard.
Yeah,
They have a frat bro quality to them.
they really do. I mean, that's probably because Aemon himself
Okay, so the comment
from Sujin.
the comment from Sujin was, and this was in regards to the King's Guard, is me joining the King's Guard when. Me as a frat bro when I joined the King's
Yeah.
Guard. Yeah, exactly. And they do
Yeah,
have a frat
totally
bro quality.
traced.
We're going to go to the brothel. And the king is a bit of a frat boy, isn't he?
Oh,
Yeah,
no, of course.
absolutely. But the king is the kind of frat boy where you must follow what he does. He's a Chad. He is the Chad of the frat
He's
boys.
totally a Chad. I think he's a great actor. I really like
Yes.
this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not gonna
I'm,
hate
I'm
him like
enjoying
John.
him a lot. And another question. The community is like thumbs up, 7 up over here. We love it. Okay, Lexel has a question.
What did you think about the portrayal of Harrenhal?
The portrayal of Harrenhal. Well, I thought the whole Harrenhal sequence where Daemon shows up and then Sir Harwin Strong bends the knee, and then there was the dream sequence and all that. I thought that was really cool. But the question is the portrayal of Harrenhal. So maybe that's about like the state of affairs that it's in.
I just thought Harrenhal in itself was very foretelling in and of itself. One, it's supposed to be this great fortress, but what good is a fortress when not only is it dilapidated, but there's no one for it to guard? Like the whole point of a fortress is to guard, but there's nobody back there. And it showed like, okay, cool. So they were all saying that Harrenhal, if you have Harrenhal, you can win the war. Oh, well,
Maybe.
this is saying you need armies to get in here. And I just thought the whole thing was funny because Harwin Strong was just like, yeah, sure, I'll bend the knee. I don't care about this Lair's clubfoot.
Yeah.
Like, what?
I think another thing with Harwin Hall, they've already become a victim of this war that they feel hasn't even done itself just yet. Harwin Hall is one of the darkest things that I think, well, maybe not the darkest, but it's definitely a dark side when it comes to history so far in House of the Dragon. And
Right.
I think looking back at it, it's for something Daemon with the dream sequence that we saw. It's for him, he definitely has a lot of regret too when it comes to how things may have gone down, both within his family, maybe him personally, and overall he could see the regret he has as well, not just from the Hall, but also just from the death of the child that he was responsible for an episode ago. So there's a lot to unravel with Harwin Hall, but it's dark just as his thoughts are.
I want to talk about this. Like, oh, did you have it? Go for it. Go for it.
I was going to say, in Harrenhal, it was this big, majestic fortress and how it crumbled down. And that's the Targaryen and Valyrian families. They were like these massive families that ruled everything, and
Oh,
they're
good.
crumbling.
Good.
So it's a good analogy for
Yeah,
like, hey.
that is a good analogy.
So for between them. And I mean, looking at that life pool over here, we all know the only real Targaryens who survive are Viserys for a short time in Game of Thrones and Daenerys.
That's right. That's right. I wanted. Speaking of Harrenhal, what did y'all think about that spooky, like,
Dream?
witchy Morgan Le Fay type gal?
Yeah, whenever she's like, "You'll die here."
You'll die here.
I
So,
honestly thought, well, actually you go first. I want to hear what you think.
Yeah,
oh,
what do you think? What do you
well,
what do you
that
think?
could have been a red herring, but also not, because Daemon is supposed to be this force to be reckoned with, and it can have him and Aemon face off at some point.
Right.
But you could die here, or you're going to die here. Could be the rift between him and Rhaenyra is so much that something's going to happen that she can't face him, so he ends up having to be like the Lord of Harrenhal. And he that's where he keeps his stronghold.
Well,
so it
he
could be
also
that,
he also
or
insisted
it could be die in battle.
he could die in battle. He also insisted that he was going to be called Your Grace. So
Yeah.
we're going to see some crown moves.
Her Or maybe Matt Smith wants to go back to Doctor Who. So he's
Maybe
gonna
Matt
die.
Smith wants to be the doctor again. I just want to remind the chat and the community that we are still waiting on a dragon name for Jennifer here, and she really needs one because she's in the minority on dragon names over here.
I mean,
We have a question from the community. What's the name on the question again?
fantasy writer.
Fantasy writer. Okay.
What do you think the meaning behind young Rhaenyra sewing up the dead child's necklace?
The question is, what is the meaning behind sewing up young Rhaenyra sewing up Jaehaerys's head back onto his body? Well, look, I said last week that if we could have just seen the head like fall off during the funeral procession, like what a great image that would have been. And I think that's obviously a point that's strengthened in this scene. But I don't know. Do you have thoughts on the dream?
My initial thought whenever I saw young Rhaenyra and her tying is basically Daemon seeing innocents he killed. Because if you think about it, Rhaenyra, she was innocent until he took her into that brothel. And cutting out, like, Jaehaerys, he didn't do it directly because he wanted them to go for Aemon, but, you know, people do what they feel like. Anyways, if you want to get something done, do it yourself, basically, in this case, because they went
Facts.
way left field and then ended up decapitating a young child. So he killed innocents, and in both times when he killed that innocent, it started massive rifts in the family. So, and then it brings him to the God tree. So it's basically saying you destroyed these two, you destroyed these two. And not only did you destroy their innocence, but with that innocence, you brought a blackness and a dark mark that cannot be erased and set things into motion.
It's does not pass the vibe check.
Yeah.
Really.
So
Really
and
does
then-
not pass the vibe check.
So at that point, him being at the God tree, it can either be he takes responsibility and then moves on from there, or he lets it eat him, which can start messing with his brain and his sanity because Targaryens are mad, right?
I want to watch
So-
Daemon go crazy,
Yeah.
right? You want to?
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I think Daemon is probably gonna go mad over here. But more onto that, I do think that with young Rhaenyra sewing up the baby's head, I think that also has to do with Rhaenyra herself just being the person to clean up a lot of his messes
Yeah.
for Daemon.
Yeah.
Like I think for her, I mean, even as young as she was in that vision, she was always a person that stood as like an advocate or someone that could at least be, you know, somewhat of a grapple for him in the kingdom. That was Rhaenyra for him. And now that, you know, they've separated, he can see her for what she truly served. And that was her, I mean, pretty much the person that could help him throughout the kingdom. And now he's lost that. And now there's no one to clean up his mess. It's him alone.
She ain't just serving looks. Yeah, those are two really good interpretations. I think that I thought it was interesting that she's sewing. You know, we have this queen who all of a sudden is doing needlework.
Well, that's what princesses back then were meant to do. I mean, if you remember Game of Thrones, Arya hated that, where Sansa loved it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Because it's a lady activity, so a lady's activity.
It's a lady activity. Yeah.
So back then,
Dragon riding, that's a lady activity. Sewing heads back on bodies, it's a lady
Yeah, you
activity
know?
in the Song of Ice and Fire. So, what else did we see?
You
So-
just mentioned the Song of Ice and Fire.
Right.
Towards the end of the episode, we did see a moment with Alicent and Rhaenyra finally
Yeah.
together. What did you think of that?
oh man, there's so many thoughts. You go first.
Okay, I mean, I like that it started with basically the threat of violence. Here's a knife.
Started badly, or I began badly.
And you know, I think is like if you're someone who studies power,
Yeah.
you really kind of come to understand that good intentions aren't enough
Yeah.
to stave off the inevitable. And I think the scene did such a good job really portraying that, because yeah, they love each other, they have this past that they share together, but what could they really do at this point? So I just thought that was really well written. And I also I found it to be a very exciting scene. I was kind of on the edge of my seat watching it, wondering what was going to happen. So I thought it was really great.
Well, and it just made Allison sink even a little more because she
Oh, you don't
couldn't-
like Allison?
I don't like Allison.
What do you not like
Sorry.
about her?
I think she's kind of a self-righteous
B word
individual.
or C word? I word. Individual. Okay. All right.
I think she's kind of a self-righteous individual that's very much like, no, I'm right, everyone else is wrong.
Oh, she's like a goody two shoes. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like she's very like, I'm right, everyone else
Like-
is wrong, and I mean well, and if you are against me, then
Like-
you obviously don't mean well.
My poo doesn't stink.
Yeah. So
Okay.
she-
All right.
And then she has her father that she like, of course, blindly follows.
I think those kids
so-
adore their father. They must. They must. They must.
Yeah, and then for this episode, whenever Allison comes with Rhaenyra and they're talking, it was comical how it started like, oh, I began badly. So she's like, let me
Yeah, that was
let me
funny.
restart.
That was funny. Yeah.
And then you see Allison. you
Really
see
nice
the,
on that.
Oh crap, I messed up. And then she's like, you know what? There's nothing I can do now. So
Yeah.
we're just instead of like I'm gonna admit it and try to do what I can. She's just straight up like, nope, there's nothing we can do. I'm just nothing. No mistake was made. No
Well,
mistake was
you
made.
may remember from last
So-
season. Yeah. Okay. Very, very good. Very good. I mean, you remember from last season that Otto Hightower is saying to everyone, look, if you don't take the throne, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
So you have to. You don't have a choice. Did you want to talk about the scene? Yeah.
And honestly, I think that there is a lot at play. I mean, for me, how I feel about Allison, I am pretty conflicted. Like, I do think that there's a lot of self-righteousness there. I cannot disagree with any points made. But she was also thrown in a really bad position as an individual where not only was she Rhaenyra's friend before anything, but she was, someone who was thrown into a marriage to become queen. And she was also put into this position by her father to try and, usurp the power of the king.
So victim of circumstance or no?
I mean, it's an added victim complex to her, which makes me only dislike her even more. I'll
Right.
be honest. So it's
No one likes a victim. No one likes a victim.
I mean, honestly, like, yeah, she was arranged. She had an arranged marriage, but whenever, especially back in those times, like that the show is portraying, that was kind of to be expected. Females weren't autonomous; they were pawns to be sold into
Right.
families to merge families and wealth. And like, yeah, that's not just the lot she was given. That's the lot all women of highborn at her time were given. So she has no more victimhood than anything else. I mean, Rhaenyra was put
Oh
into a
no,
marriage.
I'm a queen.
Yeah, Rhaenyra was put into a marriage that she didn't want to be in, but she made an arrangement, and that arrangement apparently pissed off Allison. So Allison turned against Rhaenyra because
Yeah.
it's like she's not a victim there. That's just the lot she was given. It's either you can choose who you love and be poor, or you can be rich and have power, but you don't get to choose who you marry.
Well, I like
Pros and
Allison.
cons.
You know, whatever.
Yeah, I do think that with Allison's situation, that there could have been a route for her to do what was right and like be
Yeah.
more like her best friend Rhaenyra, or supposedly her friend. But instead, she doubles down on having
Right.
Aegon as king and having everything lay as it may. And I think for me, that solidified, and probably for a lot of people too, how they solidified their opinions on Allison and just being a really selfish person. She's no better than Aegon is at this point.
Well, yeah, and with Allison,
Ouch.
Well, with Allison, she's like so into I'm right, you're wrong. This is my view of you, and since this is my view, this is who you are.
It's a
She
little
doesn't
judgy.
She
Little
doesn't give them
judgy.
a chance to be like, hey, like had she just talked to Rhaenyra before all this, and then said exactly what was said, Rhaenyra could have put a stomp on it right then, right there. But instead, she went to her father and didn't believe Rhaenyra, and like had all these bad ideas of who Rhaenyra was. And since she thought that's who she was, Rhaenyra could be nothing else. So that's what I mean. Like, she's very self-righteous and doesn't give people a chance. Like, she judges,
right.
and that's it.
I feel it. Look, I just want to say, Allison Hightower, if you're watching, I got you, girl. You're,
Olivia Cook did an amazing job. Wonderful actress.
not every, you know what? Let me tell you something. If you're not making enemies, you're not living life right. Okay. If you're trying to make everybody happy, that's not you're not gonna make anybody happy. So, but let's talk about what might make you happy, which is winning $50 and this Groovy Tubi Skull Chalice with our life pool contest. So look, guys, the stage is set after this episode. Oh, we have a new contestant, do we? Yo, yeah. Oh, I thought you meant, okay, our producer's confusing me. Okay, it's all right. Okay, so yeah, we do have a new contestant. Let's go investigate here what's going on. So Stanley M. I'm assuming it's the M for Mighty. Stanley the Mighty. And Stanley is choosing. All right, we're gonna read it off, Stan. Okay, here we go. Rhaenyra Allison, who's actually a good person, and Otto Hightower, Aegon II, Daemon, and this is an interesting one, Cyrax. We have a dragon in on Stanley's submission. So you can do that. You can choose a dragon character. That's really cool. Of course, the most important thing is you'll win $50 if you guess right. What?
And this goblet.
And that goblet. So I feel after this episode, the stage is kind of more
Been
set.
set, yeah.
The pieces are in place. So
No one died this episode. It was purely chest moving.
well, a bunch of people died.
Well,
just no
okay.
one we care about.
Other than 2 families with, kind of an
Yeah,
army.
2 entire families are dead. But other than that, it's
Other than that, no main players
no
died.
main players. Wow. Okay, so now we need to rate the episode. So let's just talk about our rating system. Good episodes get dragon eggs. Bad episodes get cracked eggs. And I have a good feeling that we are not giving cracked eggs to this episode tonight, are we? No.
We have
No.
a comment from MMA Fighter.
Oh, MMA
Yeah.
Fighter has another comment. Okay, what's up?
They are giving this episode 5 dragon eggs.
We have 5 dragon eggs from MMA Fighter,
So,
which is
one cracked egg?
no. That's the best. That's like
5. Oh, 5 dragon eggs.
that is
Sorry, I
effective.
was
That is
thinking just like 5 out of
effectively
limits.
10 out of 10.
All
That is
right.
effectively 10 out of 10. So large kudos from MMA Fighter. Mysterion, what's your rating?
I would love to give it 5, but I'm gonna have to give it 4 simply because there was a little too much frontal nudity for my liking, if you know what I mean.
Oh, and we didn't even talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
let's put
did.
that one.
Yeah, we didn't mention the frontal nudity. Not everyone on the panel is like. Where's the intimacy coordinator for the panel? So okay. Do we have a dragon name for Jennifer? Just a question. We don't. Okay, that's fine. So Jennifer, how many dragon names do we have?
I was going to say like 2.5 or 3. It was a bit slow in some areas.
We're gonna call it 3
Okay.
because
3,
half a
good.
dragon egg is actually just a dead baby dragon.
Why is
so.
that 2.5?
Which that's 2
Oh,
dragon
okay.
eggs and a half dragon. Which that's
Okay,
just
okay, fine. So 3.
that's
I'll give it a 3.
sad
How's
dead
that?
baby dragon. Okay, 3 dragon eggs. I'm gonna give it I'm gonna go up to 5 because I've been kind of poo-pooing on the first 2 episodes, and I feel like this was such a jump in quality. I had such a great time watching it. I was so entertained that I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good about it. Okay.
I like that it set things up. It just seemed a bit slow in some areas.
Tonight, you mean?
Yeah, but it picked up towards the end. It definitely picked up towards the end.
Yeah. Okay. But a little ebb and flow.
Yeah.
Good deal, Lucille. Any word from our friends out on the internet? No. Okay. All right. Well, any final thoughts? Final words?
Overall, I think it was a great episode. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Yeah.
I'm sure there'll be a lot more bloodshed in the next one because that's basically what this episode set up for it.
Yeah.
and-
The gods willing.
Yeah. There's probably a bit of a rift between Aemon and Aegon now, so we're interested to see how that.
it's-
Honestly, I think they're just preparing for war at this point. I really do think that it'll be interesting to see where Alicent's character goes after this because I think for a lot of, fans out there, we kind of didn't know how to, feel about Alicent. Maybe some people like you yourself, you like her. But at the end of the day, she's the queen. And I think the more she makes out of her position, the more people are going to think of her. And it just looks like she's only becoming more and more like her sons versus she is and her best friend. So I'm worried for her, honestly. But at the same time, I'm curious to see where that goes.
I don't think Alicent is going to die anytime soon. I think she's like the Cersei of House of Dragons. Or House of the Dragon. Like she's too much of a schemer move player, even though the real schemer in her is Otto.
And that's what I like about her. She plays to win. She
But she
plays
doesn't
to
really
win.
If not for her father, she'd be a terrible chess player.
I like a winner. Yeah, that's probably true.
was
Daddy
gonna
taught her how
say,
to play. Daddy taught her how to
Her
play.
dad's like, do this will happen. And she's like, oh, okay.
And Dad's not there anymore, so maybe she's gonna start making some mistakes.
Literally never,
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, that's a great place to end it. Allison, I love you, but you're kind of a nepo baby. All right. So, having said all that, we invite you to tune in next week for the 4th episode of the House of the Dragon live review show presented by Houston Film Club. There's still time to enter into the life pool. We're going to talk about it. It's getting down to the wire now. So the pieces are on the board. This is your time to choose. Make that $50 and get this Groovy Tuvey Skull Chalice. And with that, I am Will Sanders with
Jennifer Lee.
Jennifer Lee, who still needs a dragon name.
I do.
And
I do.
Isaiah Liao.
AKA Mysterion. Bye for now. See you next time.